it is Sunday, Paris. And yet again, it's rainy and windy. So hopefully you don't get to see my umbrella too many times falling in front, but we are here. We're here, and I don't need to introduce our lady that's right here. Hi, Jean. Let me go back a little. Excited to share this little update with you guys all today. And as you can see, the crane is all the little Girl Scouts, French Girl Scouts. So here you can see that. Give a few minutes to get a minute to get everybody in here. So good to see you guys. So today I wanted to give you a little update, and I think I'll do this like every 2, 3 months until 41 weeks from today when we reopen, and I'll be right inside there. I cannot wait. So I thought maybe we'll do this because it's going to be rapidly changing, and it's going to be, there's quite a few updates um, that they put out and all sorts of different French press and publications about the timeline of what is going to go on in the next few months, what's going to happen before the Olympics and what's after the Olympics, and then what's even happening all the way till 2030, because not everything's going to be done by the time it reopens in December. And there's a lot of other huge projects that are going to go on around Notre Dame, including a museum they're going to put in the Hotel Dieu, which I'm very excited about. Hi, Elizabeth. Hey, Angela. So I kind of today we're going to talk a little bit about the spire. And as you can see up there, and if I can balance my umbrella under my chin. Hi, Cheryl. Hang on. We could try to zoom in there, and you can see that it's like she never left. It's absolutely amazing. The other day when I came down here, I guess maybe 2 weeks ago, and to come down and see the spire uncovered, I cried as soon as I saw it because it is exactly like it was before, and it's amazing. It's surprising if you saw what I put on Instagram last night, what I wrote about. It's amazing to be back here in this position 5 years later when everybody doubted, when the president the next day or that night said, it'll reopen in 5 years, and everybody in the media scoffed and laughed. And they have been this entire time, but we're going to open. It's going to be a few months after, but it's within 5 years, so that counts. But it's just like it was because it all has to be done. Some little girls. How cute is this? It's a little French Girl Scouts that I just hear. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Catherine. So the spire itself, though, the spire that we saw before the fire dated back to my other favorite architect, Viollet-le-Duc. But before that, the original spire was built in 1250. In 1606, the top of it fell because of rot. It fell down, and the relics that were in it at the time fell down, but they were able to save those. And then under in 1786, it was finally removed by Viollet-le-Duc because it was actually kind of a hazard and very dangerous. And so they finally took the whole thing down. And Viollet-le-Duc actually had a plan to create two spires. He wanted two spires on the roof. Wouldn't that be strange to see? But so they turned, everybody else turned that idea down, and they decided to go with just the one spire. And so if you go to the Architecture Museum, which I have been telling everybody to go to now for a couple of years, go in there, and they constantly update it. But if you're going to be in Paris, got to go and see it soon because pretty soon it's going to close because all of those pieces, the statues, are going to have to come back here to go onto the roof. But they do have like working models of it. The Viollet-le-Duc was the man that was in charge of the whole project with his friend Jean-Baptiste Lesueur. But there was another architect named Auguste Ballou. He is the one that actually did the inner structure of the spire after the plans of Viollet-le-Duc. So it was Viollet-le-Duc that was kind of the mastermind. Lesueur he and Lesueur had done the Sainte Chapelle, which is here on the island as well, and the spire. And the spire on Notre Dame is pretty reminiscent of the one on Sainte Chapelle. But then they were picked because they did such a great job on Sainte Chapelle. They were picked to do the project here at Notre Dame. And after Lesueur died, he died not that far into the project. He wasn't replaced, and so Ville, the Duke, just kept doing everything. But when it was created, it was 500 tons of wood and 250 tons of lead that covered it. And just in the summer after the fire, in 2019, it's very windy. In the summer that they voted on that it all had to be done, my umbrella, it all had to be done in the original way that it was. And so they had to do it in the exact same way. They can use a few other modern techniques. And recently I saw a video of they're doing some of the sculpture pieces out of stone that get replaced in some gargoyles. And they are able to use some power I don't even know what you would call them, to go in there and get into the fine details. But for the most part, they're doing everything the original way out of hand. So the spire itself, you can see it there. It is covered already with the lead, and it's being done outside of Paris. So the spire itself was done in the Lorraine region. There's three different companies that are doing it. Le Bras Frere is the biggest company that is doing the work on everything, and another one called SEA. So they are the ones that are doing all this work, and it's all being done off site, and then it gets brought in down the Seine here, which is rather high because we've had a ton of rain this week. It's been kind of crazy rain. Storm Louis has come through, but they built that platform you see right up there. That platform was built to hoist the pieces off of these barges that would come in. They'd park them right down there. And then you'd have another one of these cranes that would go and pull them off of there. They'd put them up on that platform and kind of get everything into place and then just drop them in. So it was pretty amazing. The fact that they could do these things, they could do them much faster than they did when they first originally built it, just because they're building them offsite in factories, which is exactly how the Eiffel Tower was built. It was just built off-site and then brought into Paris and kind of snapped together. But the pieces of the lead, all of those decorations that you see up there, the hooks that are kind of flowers, all of those are also being created off-site. And so what they are doing now is as they start to cover the spire, they are putting what is called English paper in between, and that waterproofs the spire. So you have all the oak underneath it, and you got to keep it all nice and dry so it doesn't rot. So they had to put this paper in there, and then they lay it over each other, and then the lead panels lay over each other, and then all the decorations. So as they finish those pieces are going to come down, and pretty much all of that scaffolding up there is going to be gone by July. So all of it that's on the roof right now, you can see the pieces of the roof. The wood is now almost all covered. If you saw pictures I posted even a month ago, is when they finished putting all those the rafters in there. Now they're already getting weathered, but they are starting to cover all of that as well in the lead. There was at one point, because they actually passed a law that you couldn't use lead anymore before the fire in 2019. And so then when they were told they had to do all of this in the original form, they were like, well, what are we going to do now? So some churches have been redone and they didn't use lead, but this one has to be redone the same way. So there's a whole lot of safety measures put into place for them to do that, and for how long people could be working on it and touching it and everything else. So there is a lot of that, but it is going to be back to the same way, and I cannot wait to see the skyline with that in here again. But you can see, and of course we have the rooster up there, but it's pretty amazing. So let's walk down around the corner a little bit. Sorry for the umbrella, guys, getting in here. It is very windy. That's my umbrella keeps turning inside out. Hang on, sorry. It is quite windy and very cold. We've had actually this week, it hasn't been too cold. It's been in the 50s and kind of warm, but yesterday and it got very, very chilly. And on the other side of this bridge, when I look down, the little ramp to get to the bateau bus is completely flooded out, so you can't really even go down there. We'll go over here a little bit where this little opening is. It has been very busy around, especially like the Louvre this week has been crazy. It's been like summer level of people. And so hopefully it kind of calms down beginning tomorrow because we've had all of the European breaks. So it'll calm down, and then I think for a week, and then there's a few college breaks. But I will go. Let's see. Show you right here too. Whew. But most of you have the tarps and everything. So the North Tower, yes, we're on the south side. The left bank's the south side. The North Tower, they took the bells out over a year ago, and those are actually getting cleaned and restored, and those will come back before the Olympics. But the South Tower, which is where they have Emmanuel and Marie, those have never left because the fire did not get into the South Tower. The fire did get into the North Tower, but they were able to contain it pretty quickly. Straight down there, you have kind of just to the left of the red crane. You see those red tubings? That's the sacristy. And the sacristy, they have also just finished cleaning all of that. They've cleaned it. They've restored everything in there. They've restored the floors and the walls and everything. Um, and it's pretty amazing. Oh, sorry, the sacristy is just there to the right. It's hard to tell where anything is with all of this scaffolding. How would you like your job to be the one the guy that has to walk all the way up that every day? Nope. No messy. I don't think I'd want that job. Except for maybe I do it one time just to be able to get up there and see everything. But on a daily basis, during the week, they don't work on Sunday, but during the week, you could hear, when you come down here, you could hear all of the banging around and all of the work that they're doing. When they take the scaffolding, there was a video going around on like the French media, social media, and also the Notre Dame. Uh, when they took the scaffolding up around the top of the spire, they took it off in a giant chunk. So probably a lot easier than how they remove when they remove scaffolding around the city. And the very end there, so if you look at the very top of the spire and then look to the right, and that's the top of the roof line. And at the very end, when we go down here, you'll be able to see the end of it, which that project is completely finished. The inside, everything on the inside is cleaned. They're working on the choir, the wall around the choir and the vow, Louis the 13th, the Pietà. They've been working on that this week. Sorry about the block view here. So they've been working on all of that. And some of the things that aren't going to be done until long after the Olympics, so in the next 5 years, is they're going to have to do some work on the rose window here, the south rose window. And then they're also going to have to do a lot of work on some of the buttresses. And so that'll be done in 2030, but it's not an integral part at the moment for it to, hurt anything as far as people being in there at the very far end, past where we were on that side underneath the Parvis. They are going to be putting a huge thing underneath it where you could go in. It's like a visitor center. There's going to be a whole thing set up there, and then they're going to add in about 300 trees up on all the way around the church and into the front of the Parvis. So that's going to be done probably by 2028. So it's going to be a while for that. But all of the stained glass has now been clean. It's all been returned. The only ones I took out were the ones at the very top level because that was obviously closest to the heat and the fire. And all of those have been checked and cleaned and brought back. If you go online, I've shared it a couple of times on my Instagram and my stories where they will share a video of the inside. It is so white and so clean. It is just gorgeous. I really just can't wait to get back inside there. It's going to be very exciting. You can see the water is moving pretty quick here too. So the spire, they started, so the spire work, this isn't very long. August of this last year was when they put the, what they call the stool. So they had to get the transept, the stone transept, the top of it completed because then they could build the stool. And so that was a pretty massive thing because it is, again, it's 500 tons of wood and 250 tons of lead. So it's incredibly, incredibly heavy. And so you have to have a really good footing for it. So the stool went in August 2023. And then in September, they started already doing the lower parts. So if you, when they're building the spire, if you remember, and even if you're sitting at home and you're looking on your computer or you're next to your computer, you want to open up another screen, look at the spire, the former spire, and you'll see how the bottom of it had all of those Gothic arches and all of that, really beautiful work. At one point in the 17th century, they put bells in there. The bells were taken, obviously, out. Oh, hey, here we are. Anyway, um, they took those out, um, obviously, when they redid the spire, when they took it down. But they have not, well, Viollet-le-Duc did not have bells in the spire, so they're not putting them in there. You can see, oh, look here, you can see it's a tad bit high at the moment. I've got to go check my official flood marker, the steps by the Pont de Carousel. That's my official. Let's go see over here what this one looks like. This one usually is pretty low. Ooh, yeah, look, it's really moving along fast. Come on. My phone is getting very wet. Um, so we'll go back over here. I love how they put this up. They're really focusing a lot on the individual people that are doing everything for Notre Dame, which is really fantastic. On TV shows, there's something on TV probably just about every single day here on the news. Their TF1 had this really great program. Um, I follow the journalist that does it. He gets like incredible access. Um, he gets incredible access the uh, to the project and is always making videos from like the top of the spire and everything else. And he did this really fantastic TV show here in Paris on the French TF1, and which is amazing information. And you get to see stories about the workers and everybody working on this. And a lot of them are very young, which is kind of amazing because here, this is still a really viable job to have because you have so many monuments and chateaus and everything else here um, in Paris and France for to work on. So it's kind of a job that your work is really never done. Okay, let me try to wipe this thing off here for a second. One, sorry, losing the umbrella and losing everything at the same time. Okay, so but back in December, when they added the cross, December 6th, they did that, and it was also marking. They did a little ceremony here on the 8th of December, marking the 1 year till it reopens. That's when they also carved into the wood of the spire at the very top the name of the general that used to be in charge of the project, who tragically died in August in the fall while hiking. That's why you don't hike, people. And that's never going to happen to me. That's not the way I'm going to go. Um, but then the rooster went on December 18th, which I was here to see, which was so exciting. And then on January 12th, that is when the frame was completely finished. So here is the bras frere. They are the ones, that fan right there. They are group doing tons of work here. What amazing. I was reading about the different companies, trying to find out where they are um, and reading their announcements of when they were chosen because it was, it's going back a very, very long time. They always in France, you have to open this up as a competition. You Nobody ever really just, except for when Mitterrand did that with IMP for the Louvre. Um, but usually you always have to open it up and people submit like they did with the roof here. And then of course, thankfully, we didn't go with any of those wacky ideas. So we're sticking it back. Let me maybe I could hide here a little bit. And oops, here's a great, here is a great view of it. Not all the touristy shops, but look at that. Here's another amazing view. And so at the very top of where you see kind of the little white cone there, at the very top of it is where it was a huge bouquet of mimosa flowers that they put there, marking when that was finished. And there's some cool picture of all the carpenters standing underneath it, kind of in between the rafters, which is kind of fun. And you can see that they do twice a year. It comes out in January and then again in July. That's a really amazing kind of book magazine that comes out that if you are a donator, they send it to you, but you could also find it and buy it here in Paris bookstores. I could find it in the Louvre in the bookstore. But it's great because it's filled with these amazing stories of the workers and everybody that's having a part with it, but it also has like great stories in history where it'll say this is when the first stone and it's really really cool. I saw when I bought the last one, this woman at the store said it was the last one that they're doing, but I doubt it. I would guess that they would probably do another one this summer. Um, but it's really, I kind of hope they do it forever. I'm sure they won't, but so you could see. And then down around here, we'll see how far we could get through with all the people. Down along here, along the wall, this is, if you've been here at all since the fire in the last at least 3 years, they've updated this wall and they constantly update it with, depending on where they are in the project of the restoration. And it's so cool because they share, like right now, they have some stuff about the paintings that are in there. So there's not only are there the paintings, the big frame paintings, including the Lemay, which were done over a 70-year period, where the Goldsmith Guild of Paris gave a painting every year to Notre Dame, and it would hang on May 1st at the column next to the altar. And they have 13 of those in there when the fire broke out. There's 11 in the Louvre, but they only ever have two on display, sadly. But they also have all of the painting that were done in the chapel that was all done by Viollet-le-Duc. So I could kind of walk you through some of these things here, past this people. So when they dug up underneath the transept, because they're putting in like state of the art technology into and electrical into the cathedral, and they're also putting a fire retardant into the rafters of the roof, thankfully. But when they were working on this and they were digging around, they found they found some sarcophagus. And so the sarcophagus, sorry, my umbrella again. The sarcophagus, you can see it here in this photo. They figured out who one of the men were. It was a former cardinal, and the other one they just called the guy the Running Man, because the way he was in a sarcophagus kind of was in like he was running. They also found some medieval statues, so those will all be cleaned up, and I'm sure all of those things are going to be on display um, in in the museum, which is going to be so cool. But you can see them here pulling all those things out. I love this one right here. I think I've taken 10 pictures of this. I love that. But it has all the different groups of people, the scientific groups, and they do actually. So this is like they have teams. They have the stone teams and the structure and the monuments, but they also have the one where the one with the heart is the emotion. And this is they are actually studying the uh, the effect that Notre Dame has on the people of Paris and the world. How great is that? Only in France. And here you have some of the other professionals here. So you have it's about those that are restoring the chapels, the paint, the sculptors, the organ. So the organ has already been they've already been putting that back in. So they had to take everything out. Nothing was damaged, but it did get some lead dust, and so they had to clean every single thing. That's going to be the very last thing they do. Is they're going to have to test and tune the chapel. They'll need 6 nights of basically complete silence to do that. Here's one of the Lemay's paintings. Oh, I love them. I have a dream to go find every single one of them, and there's a bunch of them at a museum in the north of France that I really need to go to. But you can see here where they're working on. Hopefully, you get to see that without too much of a glare. The first time I saw this here, I literally hugged this wall because I was so happy. And here's some of the iron workers. Which I love that they change this out. They change it out all the time, so you get to see different things. Ooh, there's really warm air coming out. Look at that behind him. Look at all of those pieces. So just think of how many candlesticks, and there's over 1,900 pieces in the treasury and the sacristy, and all of that was taken out the next day. So the night of the fire, of course, they took out the crown of thorns and the tunic of Saint Louis that he wore when he brought it into Paris, walking through the streets. But everything else came out the next day. It was taken to the Hotel de Ville, and now it's all safely in my other love of my life, the Louvre. But look at some of the pipes for the organs are like pencil thin, very tiny. And then you have some that are massive, and there's 8,000 pipes in total. Look at some of those. Like some of them, you could probably put like a small child could stand inside it, and then some of them are so tiny, it's like a straw. I love this one here too, where they show you kind of the before and after of cleaning. I remember his hand was always somewhat, you see how his hand is really white as everybody would touch it. So here's a little bit of the chapels. And so these were all designed and painted by Viollet le Duc. So they're bringing everything back. And here's some of the one of the stained glass. What's amazing is that Viollet le Duc kept such incredibly detailed plans and notes and everything, and so it's very easy for them to go back and redo anything because they had all that, including that's what they did with the spire. But look at this sea of scaffolding up ahead of us. I mean, just crazy. I think I would say like, hey, can I get a ride on the crane on the way up? I would probably more I'd be probably more willing to be hanging off of the crane. Look at you could see in there. Wait, let me see if I could get you guys. Let's see. Try to get this way. Okay, look. Can you see it? Look at it. You see the stained glass? So cool. And here's some of it right here. So the stained glass, it's the ones at the top. Those are the ones that were taken out and all replaced. Ooh. So they announced a few weeks ago the Catholic Diocese of Paris. And then it was also announced by the Pope. The Pope has been invited to come by the president. But they will open on December 7th, not to the public, but they will open on December 7th. And we'll have a mass in there that night. And that's when they will inaugurate everything, including the organ. And then it will open the next day on Sunday, December 8th. And then Monday is the Immaculate Conception, December 9th. And so they will, for one full week, be doing special ceremonies in here every day that will involve the different the builders and the architects and the clergy anybody from, they're inviting people, they're saying that anybody is invited to come to it. If you are a bishop in another country, they want to have everybody here to celebrate it. And then it's going to go for 6 months. So it's going to go all the way till June 8th, 2025 so they're going to look at 6 months of it as being the official opening. So there will be things going on for 6 months. Look at those bolts. At least a good thing with the rain is that it's not as many people. I love all the information about the trees. So they needed 1,200 trees for the spire, and they need 1,000 trees for the roof. Can you believe that spire is less than the roof? I mean, you have a lot of pieces in there, but it's pretty stunning. I'll take you around the front and then show you something on the other side where it kind of shows you how they're doing some of the stuff with the roof. So if you've been here and you've gone into Saint-Jean-l'Auxerrois, which is where the Our Lady statue is, that was next to the altar, that'll move back here in November, and they'll do a special procession going down from Saint-Jean-l'Auxerrois to here. Show you some of these. So behind here, there's the big tents that originally for this, like this picture here, where they were taking all the pieces that they had found inside and fallen, any of the charred remains or the stones, put them all in there and inventoried them. And if they can use the stones again, they will. Again, I think a lot of that will go into the museum. But right now, the tents that are back here, this is where they're doing all the stone cutting and carving. So they're doing all of that right here, while the other pieces, the wood and the lead, are being done off site. Here, if you come, definitely go. So you see straight down there, straight down the street where everybody's standing with their umbrellas, there's a free exhibition down there. There's also where you could do the Eternal Notre Dame, one of those virtual reality headset things. I tried it once, I couldn't get it to work. But there is a really amazing exhibition down there where it goes into all the details of the rebuilding and the craftsmen. If you do also go to the Architecture Museum, which I'm going to do again this week because I want to go see the statues again, and I'll share some of that with you. But some of the stuff kind of overlaps some of the things you see in one. But I did notice today they have a video that they play in there on this big screen. And at first it was all about the timber that they had. And so now there's a whole bunch in there about the spire. So I popped in there yesterday and saw it. So definitely come and see that. And I'm going to go, when I check out the architecture, I'll see if they've updated that, because they have been updating it as the project progresses. Whew. But it's different from the archaeological crypt that's underneath here. It is a whole different thing. I'm imagining after it opens, it probably won't be here very long, or maybe they'll keep it until the museum opens, which will be a few years. But having a museum about Notre Dame was an idea long before the fire. They actually were talking about putting that into the Hotel Dieu, which is where they're going to put it. But it's been something that's been talked about since 2017. So hopefully that means it won't take too long for it to happen. It'll happen a little quicker since they already were talking about it. So on this side, underneath our friend Charlemagne here. So I love these. If you guys haven't seen these, there's all these amazing pictures again of more workers here. I just love that they're giving them all a name and a face and telling people about them, because It's so amazing. It's so cool. And they all feel pretty fantastic that they get to do this. So here's kind of a cool little map that they have here of the church. The Archbishop's Palace, none of that is there anymore, but that used to be there. The gargoyles. And what's really neat is down here, you could go through, and so you can see when it was built, it started at the very back, choir. So it's 1163. 1190 is when the Louvre started. 1182. So there is the first spire, but then we jump all the way to 2019. Look at that. I mean, look at how great. And this is kind of what they're doing. So when it first happened, they're in the middle of the transept. That is when they would only use those remote controlled robots to go in there because they didn't want people going in there because they were afraid it was going to fall. Something else would fall on them. And then on this side, this is really cool because it's showing you kind of what it's going to happen with the roof. So we are at the secondary trusses that they have done. So now they're getting ready to put that other layer and then the lead roof on top of there. And then look at, there's our rooster. The rooster was designed by my man, Philippe Villeneuve. And it is a rooster, but the wings of it look like fire. So he's like a phoenix rising from the ashes, which is so very fitting. And then you have, so when they do the spire, they also had to put these huge bases in. You could see there for the statues. So they're going to go up and down. So they had to then put these big footings in there to hold those up. Those aren't very heavy because they are completely hollow. So they don't need a whole lot of extra base to hold them up, but they will put them all in there. So here, what I was telling you, if you wanted to go look online, you could see the Gothic, all the Gothic artistry there that's in throughout the spire. So the wood that you see there on the left, that is what's in there now. And then we already have all the way, probably just about down to here is visible. Right about there is where it's visible to us, the naked spire. But it's pretty great. I have now I had said months ago that I was going to come down every week to check on the update, but now I am actually coming down, sometimes twice a week, to come and see what is going on. Charlemagne. I wonder if they'll give him a little cleaning because this whole area is going to be, there's going to be a whole lot more trees in here. Look at this great picture. The gargoyle. And the Virgin that's up here on this column is a copy, the copy of the one that's at Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois. The crown of thorns, of course, is at Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois. And since we are in the days leading up to Easter, every Friday from 3 to 5, it comes out. If you got my newsletter this last week, I wrote a whole bunch in there about the crown of thorns, and I will do even more about it. I was researching it endlessly for a couple days, and I had at one point had to stop, or else I'd never get it written put out. But I have more to share about the crown of thorns and how it's depicted in art and where else you could find parts of the story. So I have that coming up soon. But if you don't sign up for my newsletter, if you haven't, you could find, I did also put it on my website. So check out claudiahemingway.com. But here you can see that is actually St. Thomas. So that is one of the statues that was on the roof. And this is the one that is turned and looking up at the spire when the rest of them are looking away from the spire, because St. Thomas is also the face of Viollet-le-Duc. And he's up there looking back at his spire. And St. Thomas is also the patron saint of architects. So I think my man, my love, Philippe Villeneuve, I think he should put his face on something. He got to do the rooster, but I think he should be added. There is a very controversial thing happening yet again right now with it. They have announced, the president announced when they did, let me go back here farther, when we had the 1 year until it reopened, he had said that they are going to take out 8 windows on the south side right as you enter. Is it the old entrance, I should say, because they're also changing that. And they are going to do 8 windows. Look, you can see it in the middle. And they're going to be contemporary. And so they want them to kind of tell the story also of what has happened in the last 5 years, and also with the fire and all of the everything's happening. So some people, of course, are very upset about that because they don't want the original windows done by Villae-le-Duc taken out. The president did say they would put them in the Hotel Gio, which is, if you don't know, right there. And so some people don't want them to take them out. They want to keep the Villae-le-Duc ones, which I don't know. I'm kind of that old lady that wants to keep it exactly as it was. But maybe if there's a window and had Philippe Villeneuve in it, I would be on board with that. Maybe they should let me know. But you could see, look at that. You could see her right in there. You could see the spire. Ugh. And all of the kings of Judah there, because those were all restored years ago. And it's all nice and clean. But they are going to change it. So you used to go there to the Porta la Sainte-Anne there on the right, and they are changing the entrance. So the entrance will be in the center. So the Last Judgment, you'll go into the Last Judgment door, and you will go to the left and up the north side, and then back around the apse, and then down to the south side, and then come out this door. So they are changing that a little bit. The furniture that's going to be in there is going to be more contemporary. Again, not super excited about that, the altar and everything, but the it's actually the Archbishop is the one that is in charge of all of that stuff and deciding what that is. But it is going to whatever it is. I don't care. Do whatever it is. Just I can't wait to be back. Can't wait to be back inside. No, I think somebody lost their lipstick. I'd be quite upset. So, all right, guys. Well, I think I am going to say adieu for at this moment because it is freezing and raining and windy. So I will make sure you check out the podcast. Last week I did. We're gonna have a special monthly episode on the podcast. It's going to be about Notre Dame. So the one I did this week was about the bells of Notre Dame, and about the names and the history of the bells and when they were redone. And it's really cool because they also have like their godparents, and that's where they got their names from. But check that out. And then we're going to have another one that'll come out March 11th. And that one's going to be about the statues that were on the roof that we also talked about a couple years ago. But then I've done some updates on that one and given more information. So make sure you check those out each month. And then make sure if you're not following me on Instagram, Claudine Blue Blanc Rouge, and everywhere else, Facebook, the same, Blue Blanc Rouge. And of course, here on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and share it with people would be fantastic. But if you're coming to Paris, make sure to reach out. I will, I do tours of the islands for people, but, and most of that, probably half of that, hour and a half of that is focused just on Notre Dame. And so when it reopens, I will definitely be doing some tours of Notre Dame as well, because before I fell in love with the Louvre, I was in love with Notre Dame. And I could probably tell you about every single little piece of statuary on that front of that facade and inside. So I cannot wait to get back inside. And thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, Sharon. And I will see you guys soon. Next Sunday, I won't be doing one. But I will be back the next week. And I also might have some fun ones in March coming up. There is a very big anniversary in Paris coming up this spring, the 150th anniversary of the First Impressionist exhibit. And I'm actually going to take you out of Paris just a short little ways to share something that's very close to the Impressionists. I'm going to do a bunch of Impressionist stuff coming up and some really special tours with that. So if you're coming to Paris this spring or this summer and you are in love with the Impressionists, let me know, because I'm going to be doing some really special private things for that, involving also the Orsay. So, all right, guys, thank you guys so much. And I will check out your comments when I'm not getting blown away here. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday and it's a little warmer and drier wherever you are. Thanks, guys.